Welcome to Financials with Ahau. We are back on our journey as we continue to converse around debt. So today we are going to talk a little bit about planning for debt. What does that mean? How does that look like for us? And is it something that we could do or we should do? I would leave that open to you to decide based on our conversation. So one of the things that's very important in someone's financial journey is planning. If you're doing things without planning, then you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. About a week ago, I attended a session on finances. And one of the things they were talking about is if you don't manage your money will manage you. Meaning, you're going to literally live off the coin you receive now, what you can do with it, and that's it, or of even your future, And that's become very key when it comes to debt. How do we incur debt? When do we need to incur debt? How do we ensure that we are incurring debt that we can service, that it's sustainable? So if you remember, the last conversation was about interest rates, and this becomes key when it comes to planning for debt, because then we have to realize that debt has a cost. By virtue of the fact that someone is advancing you an income to enable you to do something at a higher amount or more than you would have, it means for them, they are foregoing something. So there's a cost to that. That's what we see as interest rates. And that becomes factored in when we are thinking of taking debt. So one of the things that I would encourage us to pick up is to plan out our finances either annually and then break that down into probably quarterly and then monthly and even weekly. It seems like so much detail, but what it does, it enables you to see very clearly what the map of your finances look like. And even on the grand scale, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years for bigger things that you intend to do. Because many times you live for now, and then you realize, my goodness, I had such an opportunity to do so much, only if I had seen it in the context of the bigger picture. And that becomes key when we're planning for debt. So one, it's very important to determine what am I taking debt for? Because many times, especially today with the wake of mobile banking, we take debt over maybe I need to make a payment. This is Kenya, for instance, we have Safaricom M-Pesa, they've activated what we call Fuliza. And you say, oh, let me Fuliza 1,000 NOB. You're already in debt. Have you planned for that debt? No. Are you going to have to incur the cost of servicing that debt? Yes. So those are the things that are putting many of us in financial crunches because we are taking debt which we are not planning for, which we are not assigning to a purpose, and sometimes which we don't need. I take an example. A friend was so disappointed by her spouse. What happened was he had a need, and for him it was so core. Like, I just have to take a debt for this. And once he took the debt, whatever he needed to purchase was perishable. So it means by the time he's done servicing the debt, what he has purchased is no longer even the value of what the debt is worth. So it created a financial crunch for the family. They're at a hard place, but just because there was a debt that was taken that was not planned for, it was not assigned to anything, the fact that there's a cost to servicing that debt was not put together. And also that expenses increase for a family over years, or even for an individual as different things happen in life. So if you're not planning for that, then you're going to get yourself in trouble. So what steps will we take if we are on the journey or would desire to have a certain level of debt for a reason? One, just off what I've said, we have to determine, why am I taking this debt? Two, we have to determine how long will I take to pay off this debt? And that is connected to three, what amount of debt can I sustain with the income I have? Because debt just means I'm taking the money now, but it has to be paid back. And four, now this comes to the nitty-gritty of negotiating. When do I start paying off this debt that's comfortable for me to not be in a hard financial place? Five, what happens if I'm not able to pay off that debt? Does this affect other people? Does it affect my standard of living? Does it affect my health? we've had stories of people who, because of the nature of how they applied for debt, they put people as guarantors. And then you have your guarantors who most times are your friends, family, losing trust with you because they are called upon to pay off a debt you're not able to service. We've had companies being forced to declare bankruptcy because they've taken a debt that the company over a period of time is unable to service. And it affects now things like employees, suppliers and things like that. Then 6, in the grand scheme of things, is it easier for me to save for this thing as opposed to taking debt? That's a difficult one because we live in a fast world. It's often called Microsoft too also, but the microwave world, like fast. So sometimes you look at something and I just need to have that car now. But if you saved up for it for a year, you probably would pay a higher amount as a deposit and have a lesser amount to service as a debt if you still choose to go the debt direction. So it's also having a hard conversation with yourself. What are my needs? What are my wants? What do I prioritize? Because then that becomes key as you're planning for debt. There's so much more we can continue to unpack, but I encourage us to have a debt planning notebook. If we know that the direction we want to take includes debt, plan for it, be diligent about it so that it's building your finances and not taking it down. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a joy to converse with you. I'm looking forward to the next conversation. It's a how.